Tau whawhitai la koe whia na whio. Tamatu i king tupo ono ka mai taini kuini kuina spau. Mo e whare ha mo hiofo. Ma loi lau maria hau eki. Mo e lele e tonga kodoa mo maua ai ui. Ai tau whamwhola hanga tau nuko i a whiwhini. Me he TANO'A International Hotel. Me loto NUKU'ALOFA. O kore ke hūwhanga e ngahi whataputa ape ko oceano tautou he ake atu e ngaro e apa mo e ape. Kai a tā mo ka whenga maari e koni ki tau kau whatahai. I e whamawholanga tonu ko ia o e whiwhini. Proklama ko ia o e whiwhini, i loa ia ko e Press Club. Tonga e ni kau taha ko ia ku whamalumalo e ngahi mitia ko ia i tonga ni. Pe ku i loa ko ia ko e MET, e Media Association of Tonga. O ku i hen foki ai President lahi ko ia, ko e kau taha MET ko ia i tonga ni. Pe ku ko Katarina Tohi, kau mafoki ai toenga o ki nau tolu ku whamalumalo ai kau taha ko ia nau tongai ai media ko ia i tonga ni. Hen foki pia mo i tokoni ai Vice President Vaman Rao Balap mafoki o ki heni ai kau fofonga koe kau talaf kau lahi me ngahi whanua ko ia i muri ki tonga ni. Koe poupou ki proklama ko ia o amna ke whahako ko ia me he TANO'A International Hotel me he loki talatala noa i he whiwhini. Koe proklama no ko ia o e he whiwhini. Koe whakatau ke proklama Marian Kupu e whawhonga ia ai ABC i tonga ni. Koe tene whako hana whakatau kei e proklama ko ia. Pe koe Master of Ceremony proklama o e whiwhini. Lea talitali e whako ia e whawhonga pa me he Clear Voice Mirika Ulupano. Koe lot kamata e proklama e whiwhini. E toki whaha mai ai toko taha koe tene whako a lot kamata ko ia. O e proklama e whiwhini. Tike tuk mai i e proklama i e ene tuk ko ia i loro tonga ni. Koe lea talitali. Koe toko taha ko ia tene whatau ke ia te toko taha. Pe koe lea te whito ko ia o e proklama whiwhini. Whako atu ia e Vice President. Pe koe toko ni ko ia Palestini ki e kautaha MET. Vaman Rao Balap. Hoka toa i ki he lea te whito. Pe koe presentation ni e whahoko ia e Dr. Aisake Eke. Koe former Prime Minister. Pe moe Minister ki he panga ko ia o e whanua. O kau whokia i e kau mo ngai tangata, whawhunga e tu ai kakai ko ia o wahi ifo ki he whalarea ko ia tonga mangahi i lakanga ke pe i whanua ko ia ku ten whahoko e lea te whito, proklama e whiwhini moha anime atu ko hi ko e proklama o tau marari i he whiwhini. Hiri ko ia ai me at ko ia pe ko ia pe foki tene to e hoko ko e whakawhanglangi proklama o e whiwhini. Hiri ko ia me ato e whakawhanglangi pe ai hoko atoi ki he tari whihui ki ngahi whihui pe me ki nau tolu ai matanga pe me ki nau tolu nau whanau wako ko whawhai mai. Pe me ngahi mitia ko whawhai mai ki nau tolu i he whiwhini ki nau kau mai ki proklama ko i he whiwhini. Hoko e ki whisesin ko ia. Pe ko e ki konga ko e ngahi whihui. Pe mohono tari me whamala ala me ring nau tolu ko whawhai ki nau kau i he tari ko ia ngahi whihui. Me whakahoko i he whiwhini. E tataki atu ai konga ko ia e anau taufa ka koe taha o kau manager i ofisi ko ia o MET pe ko Media Association of Tonga. Whawhawhua ki he hokutonu ko ia walu i he whiwhini ngata ki ai ai proklama ko ia whahako me TANO'A International Hotel whakasi aki ia ai lotu pe ai whahako atu ia Everest Hala. Ka koe taha kau ako whaiongongo me he University whawhanua ko ia Tonga pe koe TNU Tonga National University. Ka ku ne rotonga whakaunga tāmaki pe ku ne rotonga whahako whatongia i he kautaha media ko ia koe matangi Tonga. Oku whapaanga whoki ai proklama ko ia whamafolat ko ia i he whiwhini. Tūnga ia i he fund pe koe tokoni whapaanga ai Pacific Media Assistance Scheme pe ko iloa ko ia koe backmess. Ka koe tu i he proklama ki he whiwhini. Pe a whatawangi pe oku mouongona lerei pe ai whamawhola ko ia o hawani o tatau pe i he ongo ka maa whoke ngahi ata o ku tuku atu i he hawani o tatau pe i he tau pe si Facebook Broadcom FM Broadcasting a maa whoke i he YouTube Broadcom FM pe mo i tau letio i he FAM Valfit poini ma me NUKU'ALOFA. Whataonga bea ku lerei pe whatongia o tau pe me apina. Koe puipuitu a koe ia o proklama koe ia whahako i he whiwhini. Koe Tonga Press Club pe ku whamalumalu i he Media Association of Tonga. O ku whatau mua ia ki hono ako ne kina pe ko hono whakaari atu ngau whakawhaiangongo aia o ku tuha to tonu mo tau ki a levolo o ku iai o tonu ke tuku ki ai ai ngau whakawhaiangongo ko toa pe ko hape au ngau whakamitia pe ko social media pe ko whaita i he ata pe ko videographer pe ko whaita video ko ngahi letio pe ko hape ngau whakamitia e ko kautahani ko whotuu ke nao toka ngai ai mauluta mo levolo whaitotonu ko ia ku tuka toi ai tau ngahi o ngongo ki tua ke papriki a te ria ai whito aki e maonga whamatala ko ia ku mau ki ai pe ku tuka atu meiha platformu pe ko kautaha whaiangongo i Tongani. Ai koe kautaha ia koe Media Association of Tonga. Koe no Palestini he koe ne u lawekea nei ko Katarina Wiritohi. Pe ko Katarina Wiritohi ia nani whotuu ai kautaha ko ni ku whamwhola tuai ai tau proklama i whiwhini pe koe Broadcom Broadcasting. Koe Vice President pe koe tokoni ki he Palestini ko Vaman Raul Valab pe koe ke solak ketik motol koe totaha nuk iloa ko ia ko lala pe mo le tio valval bonyono FAM me roto NUKU'ALOFA i tam tatau o mea heni ai whakawhi proklama e whiwhini Dr. Isake
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marianne Gopo. I'll be your MC for this evening. Maloilele and a very, very well cold welcome tonight. We welcome you tonight to a media association of Tonga's Press Club. On behalf of the Media Association of Tonga, or known as MET, we thank you all for taking the time to join us with what promises to be an informative and engaging discussion. Tonight's Press Club is proudly sponsored by the Pacific Media Assistance Scheme, known as PACMIS, whose continued support helps strengthen journalism, public dialogue, and media development across the Pacific. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge our distinguished guests. His Excellency Brodie Sinclair, New Zealand High Commissioner, Mr. Callum Turner, First Secretary of the Australian High Commission, Ms. Tegan Baker, First Secretary, Governance of the Australian High Commission. Also like to acknowledge our special guest who's here with us tonight, students from the colleges of Tonga College, Dubois College, Tonga High School, Avinga Malie, Ocean of Lights, to name a few. Journalism students from the Tonga National University, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, maloilele and welcome. Tonight's discussion comes in a very important time. The government's 2026-2027 budget sets an estimation of 949.4 million in total spending, with a cash budget of just over 735 million. Its theme is accelerate delivery of vital government initiatives to generate sustainable, inclusive growth. Budget affects every single one of us. They determine how much is invested in our schools, hospitals, roads, policing, agriculture, tourism, climate resilience, and the many public service we rely on every day. Tonight is an opportunity not only to understand where public money is being allocated, but also to ask questions about the priorities, accountability, and whether these investments would deliver the outcome promises to the people of Tonga. Now I have to confess, I did spend a little bit of time reading through the budget, and I was quietly hoping to find a little allocation, Dr. Aisake, for the media. Unfortunately, unlike Fiji, who have allocated directly to the media or the medias in Fiji, I couldn't find a direct line for independent media funding. So if anyone happens to spot a media development fund hidden somewhere in the budget, please let us know after the program. Unlike then, I suppose we'll continue doing what journalists have always done, which is running on curiosity, deadlines, and a lot of questions. Our speaker this evening is certainly well qualified to guide us through that conversation. Please give a hand to Dr. Aisake. Dr. Aisake is the former Prime Minister, former Minister of Finance, and currently serves as Chairman of the Parliament's Budget Committee. His experience from both the executive and legislative branches provides a unique perspective on how budgets are prepared, scrutinized, and ultimately approved. Te whahoko atu ai toinga kone tau polokalama i elea whakatonga, ko hinga, ko e toinga kone ai whulunga I whanau o tau kau moia I he whiawhini. Whakatapa tuheni ki he sea te koe tō taha lea ko ia I he whiawhini, tō ki tā Aisake eke, ia pehe whoki ke huwhanga atu ngai whakatapu, na e whakahoko atu I he lea whakapiritānia. O ku whakapaanga ai mō popo e polokalama ko ni e Pacific Media Assistant scheme, pe koe ia pe iloa koe PACMIS. Koe kataha koe nia ku nau tokoni ki hono whaivia i mitia me ngai whenga maarie ke kauwhai o ngongo i e Pasifiki. O hoko e polokalama o e whiawhini, i ha taimi matu aki mahu inga o pito. Koe patsete e puleanga ki he tau whapaanga ua noa waono, ua noa ua fitu, o whafofua ki he paanga e hivangi au whahiva poini e wha miliona. Pea koe paanga cash o kulaka hake ia i he fitungi au tau 5 miliona. Koe ka veinga koe ia o e patseti o e tauni ke puleanga Tonga, i he eku whakatonu leha pe a aku. Koe ke whakaa atu ai ngahi ngā au e mahu inga ai puleanga, i he whaunga vave mo whalalaanga, pea ke mau hatupu whaka-ekonomika o kutu uloa. O kuanga tone patseti ke tō tahko toa pe. O ne whapapau i a lahi e paanga ke ako, mo ui, hala puleanga, whonua, malu i koe a whonua, ngowe, takmamata, wheliliwake ea, me ngahi ngau i whapuleanga o ku tau whalala ki ai. Koe tau mua o e whiawhini, ke mahinoangi ke a tik tau tolu, pe o ku wahe whewhe i a paanga i whonua. Pe koe hainga i whaamole ko ia o whakahoko e he puleanga. A ia pe ia ko whakahoko mai a ngahi tau mua, kua tuku mai e he puleanga. Ka e hange koe nau lau hiwhengai pa e patseti, whaamu pe na e kau pe fuaki hangaton mai he puleanga. Ha patset mai ke he mitia koe ia atongani. O hange koe koe whonua koe ko fisi, o spahei mai ke he puleanga fisi, ki he kotoa e kau mitia fisi, ki whaivia ki nau tolu. Koe malohinga koe ia ai mitia, koe malohinga i pe a accountable ai pe ia a ho tau ki whonua. Ko ia, kai ke, ko pau pe ke whahoko e ngāwe, o mau ke whahoko pe mau ngāwe ki he lelei taha, whe kumi ki he mooni mo e totonu, pia pehe foki mai ngahi whehui lahi au pito. Koe whawhelea ke whiawhini o kai ke sola ia ki a taha, ko toke tā e sakeke koe pale i mea mālolo, Minister paanga mālolo, pia koe sea lolo tonga ia e komit patseti ai whalea lea tonga. O lahi ne tau kei me ta whaaki whatou osi o i puleanga pia mo i whalea lea, pia ku tāu ia ke ne tataki ki tau tolu e TANO'A koe he whiawhini. Ka ki mua ia, tuki whahohoka te tau polokalama, te tau uluaki whanonga ki he lea taritari, pea toki hoko atu ai ki e tau lotu kamata. Ko ia ko kole ai ki a Milika Ulupano, me he ke lea voice, ke ka taki mai o whahoko ai lea taritari. Valoa. Vave.
Malo Marianne. Kolege u whamalmalu hinga hi tala whatapu ko oso noa whaki. Ka tā mō ka whainga mālia koe ni ke u whahokata lea taritali o ki mō tolu, ke tau polokalama maho inga koe e whiawhini. Ka koe press club hono tolu eni, ko whakalele e he kautaha whaiongongo koe a tonga ni i he taoni. Ko whi whafofonga e atu ai kautaha whaiongongo koe a tonga ni, ai Media Association of Tonga. I he loto honga ea mooni, i hono taritali whiawhia, ai whawhalanglangi koe a whiawhini, koe egi pale e mia, koe Minister Malolo, Moe sea koe ai komiti paanga ai whalea lea, Honorable Toke tā ai sake walueke. I ho o whaataata koe ho taimika ke mea mai o kau whataha mo ki mau tolu. I no o ata ngahi whamatala maho inga, whikau aki pa mo i ka veinga koe ia, ne osi mea kea Marianne ni nai, ai ka veinga maho inga koe ia o e patseti koe ai whonua. O kou kole whamole mole kai tupe mua ke u whahoko atu ai toenga o e ko whakatala noa koe he whiawhini i he lea whapilitania ki hono taritali ko ia o e tau kau whafofonga whatiplome e tika kai peheke tau kau hoa ngā ue whakalakalaka o kau whataha mo ki tau tolu he whiawhini. It is now my pleasure to continue in English, to warmly welcome our distinguished members of the diplomatic corps and all our invited guests. A warm welcome to His Excellency Brodie Sinclair, New Zealand High Commissioner. We also warmly welcome Mr. Callum Turner, First Secretary, Ms. Taken Baker, First Secretary, Covenants from the Australian High Commission. A warm welcome also to Mr. Chen Long-Sun from the Chinese Embassy. And to our valued members of civil society, thank you for your continued partnership and commitment to the development of Tonga. A special welcome to the students from all the secondary schools who are joining us tonight. Kolisi atele, tupo kolis toloa, lavinga maalie, kaipeheke Ocean of Light. We also extend a warm welcome to the journalism students from Tonga National University. We hope tonight's discussion provides valuable insights in the important role that journalists play in helping the public understand national issues. To my fellow colleagues from the media, thank you for your dedication to informing our communities and strengthening democracy through responsible journalism. I would also like to acknowledge the continued support of PACMES, the Pacific Media Assistance Scheme, with your investment in strengthening journalism and supporting professional media development across the Pacific and, of course, us Tonga. And also continue to make opportunities such as our press club discussions possible. We sincerely appreciate your partnership with the Media Association of Tonga. Ladies and gentlemen, students, and all the guests of tonight, as Marianne mentions, the theme, national budget, could not be more timely or more important. The national budget is far more than a financial document. It reflects the government's priorities, its visions for Tonga's future, and how public resources will be invested to improve the lives of our people. Every allocation tells a story, whether it is about education, health, infrastructure, climate resilience, economic growth, support for vulnerable communities. As members of the media, civil society, government, and the public, it is our shared responsibility to understand these decisions, ask thoughtful questions, and encourage open and informed dialogue. Forums like the Press Club, like tonight, provide an important platform for that conversations. Thank you all for taking the time to join us tonight. I wish you all informative, engaging, and productive evening. Malo apito.
Malo apito e lilika kataki ko e tau hoka tunki e tau lotu. Pea o ko kole atuhe ni ki he tō taha ko eni me he kolisko tupou ke vini hauki nima ke kataki o lava mai ki muani ke tapua ki i tau tolu ke tau ngongo i lau maali e ia i he whiawhini. Malo.
Ke taurut, tō mamaf ko mata mai whawane when. Ko koe tue ngai tui, e ki ngai iki. Ko koe ariwha mui meka, ka matanga mga tanga. University mawe. Mau rai whenago le rei, koe koe ngai le rei ko tape, ko ke whainase mo ngai maui. Mara ege mau te whatahataha mai ke malu e whalin. Angai whawhonga whikoe tamai, amadaken ke whai mau porokarama. Mau kore ke whana o mi, o mgeres, ke teknau tolu koe tēnau tatake mau ngai porokarama. O mua iwi urahi ke teknau tolu, pakai mua ko o ma atamai pot, atamai irua teknau tolu. Tua mau kore ke whana, mo mua pe ko tatake mau porokarama, o mau mui mui. Mau kore ngai muen, o whalu, skies, o mau whamui. Amen.
Malo apito Kevin. Ke tau hoka tuen ke tau konga maho inga koe tau polo kalama ko kole atu heni ki he takon Palestini ai kautaha whai o ngonga Tonga pe ko ia peku ilo koe Matt a Raman Lau Valapa ke kataki mai o hoko hoka te tau polo kalama ki hono whakatau kei pe a mo hono hoko hoka te tau polo kalama koe ke whiawhini.
Whatapatu ki he whawhonga hapai tahawa, Honorable Samuel Vuki, whatapatu ki he High Commissioner ko New Zealand, Your Excellency Brodie Sinclair, whatapatu ki Second Secretary ko Asteria, Callum Turner, Bama Tegan, First Secretary Asteria, Callum Turner, Bama Second Secretary ko Tegan Baker. E mau heni, whatapatu ke whanawa ko nau heni, pasteni ko ia Media Association, whatapatu ko Katanina Tohi, e tau heni. Looking at the program today, I was meant to introduce the speaker for today, but I think our MC has done a great job in introducing that. I'd just like to tell you guys a story when we first decided to have the press club on the national budget. The name on top of our list was Honorable Dr. Isake Eke. And when this was mentioned, it was tasked to me to get him to be here today. I think I've sent Honorable Dr. Isake Eke 540 messages throughout the last 3 weeks. He's laughing because it's true. But before I introduce you, sir, I have to say thank you for graciously accepting every single message I send you for you to be here. Ahoni mahunga ia pe Honorable Dr. Isake Eke ho anga tō ke heni he pōni. Ko ilo ke pasteni u mari pe sio mai u ke heni ke whakahoko ki press club ko ni. Honorable Eke ko whai ke ko press club mo press conference ko ni. Ka pate ke sio ke loki ko ni TANO'A u ke ngata pe he kau whai ongongo. Wai mo kau civil society heni. Wai mo kau members me he disability. Moi me kau whanau ako heni ke kaha nau amanaki te nau waha aho o nau lava eke whehui atu ke a koe. Kau koe mahu inga e ho mea mai aho ni, mahu inga e tau ki porokama ki he tau tātānoa i e pacheti koe whanua. And without further ado, sorry for the bilingual up here. I've been instructed very strongly by my president, Catalina Tohi, to make sure it's in English and in Tongan. So that's why I'm doing it. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our guest speaker for today. He is the former Prime Minister of Tonga, former Minister of Finance, and the current Chairman of the Budget Committee in the Legislative Assembly. Please, a round of applause for Honorable Dr. Isake Eke.
Whaki kai puke whainga maari ko ini ko hi ko ahoni whatapo kange ko just acknowledge the presence here of the New Zealand's High Commission and also deputies and also staff from Australia, High Commissioner, and also all of you who are here, and also especially the media, journalists, and the students as well. So I'm very thrilled that you are here. I mean, post-budget. I hope, perhaps in the future, we should do this before the budget. And I think that's probably the appropriate way to do it, because as you know, the first complaint that made by the MC is the no provisions for media. And I think that should be taken up before the process. But I think, again, so immediately learn what to be improved in the future. In fact, when I was told by deputy chairman to come and ask what the subject, and he said the subject is simply to discuss the budget, and I said that should be the responsibility of Minister of Finance, and that yes, they are presenting as well as you, as yourself, and that's my, the basis of my preparations today, that the Minister of Finance also will do a parallel presentations, so I anticipate and expect the Ministry of Finance will do a very thorough presentation of the budget, and therefore myself just come on basic issues that from our view that should be dwelled and also highlighted to attention. But today I've just found out that broken. The Minister of Finance is not here. I don't know what happened. Whether they turned down the invitations. Oh, okay. So that was the understanding I had. So my apology here because the way I did my presentations premise on the basis that they are here as well. So I might be, there should be some data I would like to fill in, but I think Bobby, I'll share with you just a macro, the main thing. And then Bobby, I know you probably need more, and then Q&A, probably an opportunity to do those other questions you might be curious to know. So my apology for that. And also thank you, I always admire the media and also journalists when we had our government and talking with them every day, and they are very, very polite and respectful kind of group. And I think that it's very important to continue that interactions today. Ko wheka mea ki plake me mate o se kupawa. Aia ko ki presentation ni te atpau e ku mea koe ni. Hanga ku lau, nau amanake au nei mai ia ku pehe ken mo wharepang. Pene pehe nau whakakau peko hae mea la lahi ke ui ai. Aia te ki I lera tu pehe pa mu toki whehu I mai hangahi mea ke. And also he told me only 5 slides. So there's a lot of constraints, so I have to accommodate, and so that's why I try to restrict myself to 5 slides. But I think his introduction, I think the scope is much broader than that. So again, I'll just do my best, and then we'll fill some other information later. Mahalo. Okay, be ha mea he project ta be ke tau I mai ki he ke wai pe ku wifi pe mea pe we need a projector so to connect mine to a screen maha ki mea ke oh yeah. So he directed me only 5 slides. Kasai pe ke mo toki ka toi manga ki mea nau e beo ke and now me te wa ke just present my speech but said no slides. So very particular, so I have to comply and obey. I put up the slides there. See, is that the nature of the media? They told you one thing and then as what happened is completely different. That's what we call good communication, not miscommunication, but good communication. Ikaw ki kamata pia ko mandu ko vakai ko ni ko nga pesio ta tain no. Mau tol fo ko ke mau pure. Ang ta mena ke loto ke wa ko fambe pure nga ke no mana mai na mea. Pa mo fehu I pe ke na dol ma was fa ma dol ma fila fo ki I fare ale. Ke ko me ma hoinga fo ke pachet ko ni ko to ko si pe ku ka hono fatu. Civil society, that's the best practice that the budget process it should be inclusive and participating by all. And I think that is something we try to accommodate going forward. Even our government, because of time restrictions, we couldn't do that. So, as you know, opposition is, you're looking from different angle, but the common, I know we have the common theme is to help our people improve. That's the main thing. It's the welfare of the people. So that's the main, and that's a common objective of all of us. But perhaps we might take different looking ways at making alternatives of what could be accomplished in some of the area that we feel that we actually agree with, and probably there's some area that we didn't see eye to eye with them, and that's what's happened in the House. That's what happened in the House. So that's my introduction. This is from opposition. I call it independent perspective, but I want to say that, as you rightly pointed out, budget is for the people, for the welfare. So I'm looking. We have that common objective, but there might be some issue that we propose some other alternative than what the government is presenting. I like use opposition to say independent perspective. So that is coming budget for fiscal year 26, 27, because from independent perspective, I mean, that's my own. This is not fully shared by, I mean, I haven't shared this with my colleagues in the parliament, so therefore this is my own personal view, which might not be shared by them. So that's the content of the brief presentation. First is, what is government budget? What is it? I mean, for students from school, what you should know and know what it is. And the second one is the macroeconomic environment. When we talk about budget is in an environment, and you should know what the environment actually, so that actually have an impact on the budget. So the budget is not actually taking place in a vacuum, but should be for Tonga. I mean, Tonga, all the sector, the schools and everything, this environment. And the third thing is the challenges, that actually presented by the environment. Environment, I mean internal environment. I mean internal from the government. I mean external from the government, but this is domestically. And also external environment, I mean there's something come from Australia, Middle East, something coming from it. So to talk about, and also the challenges that pose to us by the economic environment, and also what the budget, in fact, aim to respond to those challenges, and also I would be talking about budget implementation. That's the main thing, because the budget is a statement of intention. This is what we're going to do, but the actual thing will happen when you actually implement it, and that's a key question to ask: how we're going to implement it, and also we should share the same understanding of what you're going to implement. What the policy you say, this is my policy, you should stick to it. And if you change position, you should inform the public why. Rather than you say one thing and then actually happen is completely different. So credibility, whether credibility you should, and that's the real response of government. Exactly the same thing we had with the government. Make sure whatever you say, you stick with it. And if you change from it, then you have to announce to people what is changed and why. And the last one is the way forward. Again, government budget is, is translations. Budget is allocation of money, resources, money that we have, we have from the locally, from the tax that we collect from all of you. You are all forced by constitution to pay tax, and also revenue comes from non-tax sources. For example, if you pay for your payment for the school fees of the student study school in government, that's a fee, and also the registrations for running on the roads, that's non-tax revenue. So that's the resources. So budget is actually, national strategy is basically, what the people actually want the country, to become. Take into account the challenges. And they have, we have the next 10 years national Tonga Strategic Development Framework. In fact, we drafted it in our government, and we have a draft, and there were a few minor things that we passed in the new government, and that's what we expect the government to publish. They haven't published it. I mean, when the budget came to us, we asked for a copy, but they didn't. But they actually, the national outcomes, there are 5 of them, 5 and 7 of them, they actually, that's the overarching goal. That's our budget and our national development try to achieve. So that's why the national strategic development, that's the wishes of the people. In fact, we had last year a national development summit where we invited all the people to come. And the best idea is to hear them what they want, because what they need might be different from what I think. And also, so that's what happened here. But I think that's, again, definition of budget is translations or giving money to implement what the people wishes to implement in national development strategic framework for 10 years. The other one is choosing, out of strategic, there's a broad objective like sustainability of economic development, have climate change, have to adapt, and also adapt for, create a resilient economy. That's basically taking into account the impact of climate change. Talk about our national security from any foreign forces. Also culture. There's 4 of those 7 national objectives, and they are there. So again, my point is, what is budget? Budget is giving money government giving the money for other, related institutions, government ministries, and also other institutions to actually implement what they choose from the national strategic framework to actually implement So P is the selection or choosing of the priorities. That's the whole thing, and then you have to select because of what the money you have is so limited. You can't accomplish everything, so you have to set your priorities. What you think are the most important priorities for the people, like roads, education, health, public service, those kind of things. We have to pick one or two. One is maintaining the current services, and the other thing is improving the current services. So that you have to be selective, and you have to prioritize your budget. Basically, what you think would be appropriate and what needed now, and then what might need building up the base for the future. So that's why second point is very, very important. You have to choose and also prioritize. See, I highlighted the point here. Prioritize, that's national priority for improvement of the people. I put it here, not the political priorities. In fact, the budget is not actually immune or actually excluded completely. That's unrealistic from politics. We have political economy. But I think here it should be, for national priority, for the people. Something projects say political priority, for example, for example, in my budget, and I say, okay, I want to build a warehouse or something in my constituency, develop a constituency in Tonga Tapu 5, and I say 4 million for that. While we know the budget is deficit, that's to me, that is a politics priorities. Because that is something you can, of course, Australia already provide over 1 million to fund. And then you say, why you do it? Because, can't you wait for the future year, given the financial situations here? That's what I mean by political priorities, just to gain the Bible. But again, that's my point I highlighted here. And the other thing is, you have to balance your ambition and also your physical discipline, and also economic realities here. You have to know this is the whole, that's everything. And this is what I have, then we have to select it from this. And I think that's one of the things, I think that's one of this budget this year that we had, I think that's lacking on something like this in here. And also the other one is prepare for the future. I have to prepare this, that's what resilient economy is very important. We have to build infrastructure in a way that comply with adaptations and also other things in response for changes in climate, and also other technology changes, that kind of thing. And also AI, we have to build the foundations, particularly schools, digital transformation, prepare them for the future, so we do not lose behind it. So we have actually miss the opportunity. That's why the future. And also the last one is to improve public service. That's what the government for. Give you good services. If you come to my hospital and I give you, the Ministry of Health is to, I think the objective is the objective is to treat illness, but I think it should be changed. Is to provide well-being, improve the well-being of the people. When you come, you expect to go back, enhance your life, rather than come and then you give some sort of treatment that might shorten your lifespan. But again, improving public service is very key here, and also support the private sector. As you know, economic development is basically everyone included and involved, and that's why private sector is very, very important. Now, looking into the current economic environment, because the kind of priority and policy they're going to do is very much constrained by what's going on locally here. The current economic environment here, I think is more or less okay. I think it's fine. For more economic development. In terms of foreign reserve, we have more than 10 months export, trade and services cover. I think that's sufficient. 10 months, the foreign reserve is like saving in your bank account. That means we save too much, we're not using much. And one of the things that why the reserve is building over the years, especially one is the lending of the banking to the private sector is not strong. It's very weak. And also project implementations funded by development partner also has been delayed, has been slow. And that's the main factor that actually caused the building up. And also private sector, remittances in them. But that's the main contribution. So foreign reserve, yes, we have more to import from overseas to build our building, roads, and also things. So I say foreign reserve, strong position, good for Tonga. Banking sector, they have more than enough money to lend out. It's about $211 million, more than enough. And also at the same time, there's a concern about the lending, whether the lending they provide, whether the people are going to, the polo are going to pay it back or not. And that's non-performing loan. In fact, the number there is exceeded the 10% benchmark. 10% say that will be all right. If beyond 10%, then become a serious. I mean, there's something to start to think seriously about. Now it's only 14%. I think that's okay. Liquidity, more money there, and also public debt. I think the public debt is still below 60%. In fact, a very strong policy. We can only pay polo if it's very, very for essential purposes, and also for development of countries. But at the same time, our borrowing from external sources is actually decreasing. But our borrowing through domestic bond is increasing now, and I think that's a trend that's changing. I think we have to consider this, because from what happened worldwide, domestic bond, domestic debt, and external debt has to be considered together, rather than something that you are not given equal attention to. And also cash reserve, cash that actually government have in the bank and also on hand, especially about almost 3 months. They have about, I think, estimate 170 million Tonga, Pa'anga. And thanks for budget support also. That's a cash reserve they have actually accumulated over the years. That's about 170. So they say, okay, that's fine. About 3 months, good position. So I think Tonga is in is a relatively strong base actually to pump start and also increase our policy for more economic development. The only thing concern, I think, is the cost of living. I think that's cost of living been increasing, and also so that's a concern. But also the private, the remittances, it has been increasing. We thought the people overseas, that's the theory before. The longer you stay overseas, the less we feel for a country, sympathize for it. But it's not the case. I think most of us actually go and visit our relatives every month. That's why the connection is so strong. So they're still sending money. But main thing they send the money to is churches, and also non-government, and also other education, that kind of thing. So in terms of that, I think that's line of cash flow and resource to us actually help the people. I think that's still flowing very strongly to Tonga. So to me, macroeconomic condition, fine to me, except the CPI. Now, external environment, in fact, economic situation, global geopolitics, and highly uncertain. One is the Middle East conflict there, and also imposing tariff, from our big brother there, America, and that's actually is a diversions away from globalization. I think that's affected trade here. So it's a very, very huge, and also migration. I think some of the migration policy, I think some changes there. The second one is rising fuel prices. You see the price has been moved between $70 to $100 per barrel. It has been changed like this. When there is a possibility for memorandum of understanding or agreement between the two to ceasefire, see the price go down. But now it starts to go up. So that's I think there's some immediate short-term challenges we're facing now. And also climate change, of course, is also a reality to us. But also uncertainty is the commitment of international institutions, also all of us, particularly some of our donors countries, are not really, because of the war, some of the resources they probably want to divert it to defense, instead of going into this. And so, again, we should do our best, but we think Australia and all of them, New Zealand, and all of our strong, close development partners, they're actually still very much helpful to us. And also, again, increasing cost of living and also public finance. In fact, affect the public finance. So when the price increase, all the services increase, fuel and everything, so the budget has to increase the public finance. Fortunately, when there is inflation and also cost of living rise, it also rise the revenue as well, particularly the revenue from fuel, especially. And I think that is something that also know the same time. So that's the kind of environment. Internally, okay. Externally, no. It's very, very. So we had to navigate our budgets, taking into account this kind of situations here. So how our budget responds to this? In fact, I think the MC actually told you that the total budget for this year, starting July, 947 million. I think that's the figure. In fact, I didn't put it here because I think the other presentation presenter will cover all of this. That's why I go for the net balance. So the deficit, they have operational deficit of 38 million for this year. Which of course, the way of funding it, how to finance it, two sources. One is to borrow from the domestic institution, and that's open for the bank, also for you. I think that's the best way. If you save your money in terms of saving account deposit, you earn less than 1%. But if you go to government bonds, sometimes they offer between 2 to 3% or even more. That's tax-free. So not only you have low percentage given by the bank, but also it's subject to tax, what we call withholding tax. So in terms of your earning, better to go and fund it. But at the same time, we have to think whether the government goes to honor this or not. But given the balance sheet of the government, I think that credibility is still there. So that's what happened here. Government say, okay, they have a deficit. And the deficit they have is basically to respond to the challenges they have, and also maintaining their current services. So that's the current position here. Operational deficit. The operation of government is actually sourced by two funding. One is for local revenue that actually generated from domestic economy, and the rest comes from budget support. In fact, what we have in terms of revenue, domestic revenue for this year is 484 million. That's our domestic revenue. And then that is added to it, the budget support is total 115 million. So that's why we could afford to pay for a total of 599. That's for our operations. But again, our operations, that's expenditure. But 599, 38 million actually come from financing, from our cash reserve. 3 and also 13.5 comes from borrowing from the people of Tonga. That's actually what doing there. So it shows here that's our. But the development budget, in fact, we thank the Australia and them. They have the about 350. That's in kind and cash. That actually funded by World Bank, ADB, Australia, both in kind and cash. Actually, they give the Ministry of Finance for disbursement of the project. They already agreed to this the project, and for across the board sector for climate change, education, health, and also infrastructure. So all of those area that actually. So that's how we balance the development budget. Revenue come in, let's take care of it. Operation, that's where we have the deficit, and that's very important to have. But in terms of domestic, in fact, I didn't put it here, but it's very important. The government has been have a very strong policy on borrowing, debt financing. Has been for several years now. Since probably 10 years ago, since the government debt has been assessed as high risk by World Bank and also IMF. They say, no, Tonga, you should not borrow anymore because you don't have the ability in terms of from your revenue domestically to pay them off. So we have to hold borrowing any money because you have to have in order to have sustained your financial means, so you don't go overdraft in debt, so that more money will go to service the debt instead of going to schools and public services. That was the policy, and the result of the policy is all the assistance the World Bank and ADB used to be 50% loan, concessional loan, 50% grant. As a result of that assessment of the risk, they convert all the assistance from those to completely 100% grant, and that's the basis. And also, and therefore, that's the government have that we have to borrow only if for essential services. And that's the question we pose here. What are the 38 million here? 38 million that actually that we exceed the budget, and also 35 million finance from the domestic board of borrowing. Is that, are the expenditures essential? That's the key questions here. And that's the question we raise. because we have the previous budget last year, we had a deficit as well, but different. The budget for last year, we have a 29 point something million deficit, but that's a reduction from 30 million deficit we actually finance from domestic bond. And that domestic bond is basically to provide and support for the private sector. And that is the funding we gave to Tonga Development Bank to actually to lend out to private sector, establish businesses, start new businesses, and also informal. To lend out to them, because the problem we have there is, even though the bank have a lot of money or liquidity, but the conditions for lending, the security is so tough, most of people can't, they couldn't satisfy it. And also the rate of interest rate. Interest rate is about 10% or even 10%, more than 10%. So that's why we think, even there are 4 banks, there's no competition whatsoever. The difference between deposit and also the lending is about 7%, the difference between the two. So we think we have to help. In fact, the monetary policy, the Reserve Bank, this is the responsibility of Reserve Bank. Basically, Reserve Bank is looking into how the banking system works. And one of the responsibilities looked into the interest rate, whether there's a competition there. But, they can't do much because, they also have to make sure at the same time that the bank actually have enough and manage the resources, the portfolio well, because not to make any problem with the banking and also deposit. So that's the main reason why there is a problem there. There are a lot of money here, but the people who want to develop our country, improve and increase their capacity for export and production locally, but the flow is too expensive. So that's why we reduce. But now in this current financial, not really that. It's all for operational things. So that's different there. And that's the question here. Are the expenditure we actually funded from this essential or not? And that's I think the challenge is, and I think that's a short-term, that's the immediate problem we have, is fuel price increases. And as I said before, and this is what the government addressed. And that's part of the deficit of 38 is provision of 18 million for electricity tariff. And also they have the 3.7 million for the shipping, domestic shipping, and also for airline is 3.2. There's no direct subsidy directly for fuel. And just for information here, the cost component, the cost of the fuel that actually here, the price that you actually pay at the station, petrol stations, 45% of that basically that's the cost of the supply from Singapore and also to Fiji. When it arrives, it's about 45 cents. That's them. Tonga, when it comes to government imposed what? 33% tax. And then there's a 22%, there's a 22% that actually got competent authority here in Tonga actually regulate in terms of what would be the rate of return, what the expenses, the operating expenses here, what the working capital, there are those factors there that actually determine the 22%. So that's the component, and that's why we argue in the House. When the price of fuel increase, what do you think? The 33% will increase because the price increase, and then increase the fuel here. And I think that's the alternative we provide. So we should, instead of, it should go directly. You can, the subsidy there, that's for two there. I mean, for shipping, but the shipping is only a few of them benefit. They only for those, and also airline. There's no direct subsidy here, and yet the revenue is collecting more tax when the price goes up. And that's simply because we base our calculation here because of 33% government tax here. And I think that's the same structure in other governments. That tax, is actually bad. And that's, and also, so that's 18%, 18 million paanga, and also 6.9, and also the cost of living, and also, COLA, which is about 3 million. And also new measures for education. They have new measures for education, for example, they have 2 million they provide to TNU, and also they have 1.5 million for breakfast. In fact, that's the program that actually ran before we came in, and then now we discontinue, now continue again. And also they have they increased the overtime. That's another thing. The overtime for the government increased from used to be 3 last year. The actual and also estimation for this year started off as about 5, and I think could be up to 8 or 13 million. That increase also. in the next budget, and also the catering and that kind of thing. The vehicle is only 205,000 vehicle. That's a parliament, and I think some discussion there. Perhaps they please consider that, and also other. I think that's and also new infrastructure for about 4 million for back house, and also the other thing for other. Also, the other thing here is the contingency they provide the Ministry of Finance, and that's why the deficit as well increase the deficit. They provide 3.8 again million for the software for the Ministry of Ministry of Revenue. In fact, that actually paid in the previous financial year 5.8, and then they reinstate again. Instead of providing it in the Ministry of Revenue, they provided it in the Ministry of Finance, and that's something we say that good business budget practice. Basically, put the money there, so to reflect how much resource actually given to them. Unless there are some, issue that you think probably well protected, to leave a Ministry of Finance instead of giving the ministries. And also there is Ministry of Finance, and also have another. They have 5 million for contingency, but also 1 million they also in addition for that, for any risk further increases in the fuel. So towards these are the expenditure that actually caused this the increase, the deficit of 38 million. And I think the budget process is very important. I know that's a best practice that before democratic budget, what they call citizen budget, I think that's the name they call it. Before we, finalize the budget, we should hear to everyone what they say. Civil society, media, everybody say, this is our thing. What do you want to include in here? So you get all information, then you say, okay, then you prioritize it, what is here. But I think the deficit of the budget this year, I think, could be, due to changes in the government and the political sides here. The Minister of Finance appointed only there for short period, then he resigned. And then the Prime Minister came in as, just in an acting capacity. And that's to me what I think, it seems to be there was no oversight in this budget. And that's why to me caused a deficit of 38 million. Because at the end of the day, as a Minister of Finance, when you get everyone expenditure, then you look at the finance, and then we ask the question about sustainability, debt, and also priorities. And that's to me what reflected in here. And I think there's an issue here on the political side. I think what happened, the Ministry of Finance get all the ministry submission expenditures here, and this is the revenue expenditure, and then have a gap of 38. The staff, they are afraid when you say the minister should do this, They don't have the, the will and all the resource. They say, no, you can argue, but up to a certain extent. And that's my experience in the finance. You make the final decision. I say, no, we have to place a gap here. And I think that's what happened here. This is the budget basically prepared by the management. And they didn't, they didn't argue out that this is, because why I'm saying this, because not only because of there was no substantive minister in charge of this, but also the kind of expenditure they included and they increased over time. In this, also the catering and expenditure increase, overseas travel, that kind of thing. We are calling that the kind of thing. When we are in the government, we have said put a cap, and every cabinet we required all overseas travel has to come to cabinet approve because you want to screen this. And that's what the management, I know it being the management, okay, you want to be comfortable, but you can argue with the political master and say, please, this is what, if the political master says, oh, okay, I'm busy with this too much. And to me, I could be wrong, but this is my opinion, this budget here. This budget here was overreached because there was no one in charge of the budget. And that's why I want to bring up this issue here. And I think you see the situation now. And to me, this is a deficit we could have reduced or very high because of sustainability and all the good things, and also discipline. We should place a discipline on the budget. But again, that is my thinking. I could be wrong, but this is my I talked to the Minister of Finance staff when they came to the House. I think in my sense is there was no prioritization on this budget because there was no one above the budget to say, this is the much, this is the total aggregate, and this kind of expenditure we should have. It's just, keep quiet because I know we don't want to, And I told them, this is my sense. This is the budget prepared by the management. And all the ministers say, okay, put everything. And the reason why I said this, because when we put up the budget, deficit budget of 29 in the previous year, when we were in the government, most of them, all the government ministers, some of them say, no, please bring it down, balance. They came to me and I said, yes, but I said, this is for specific problems, private sector, not for our own daily lives operational. That's the difference. And that we could, when we grow the economy, people will pay back the loan. Operation, no payback. And that's why I say there was lack of leadership in preparing the budget. I could be wrong, but this is my sense. Because the type of expenditure they loaded in the budget, which are not there in the first place. Now it's come to implementation. So implementation is very important here. And that's why I think budget is a statement of intention. This is what I want to do. The main thing happens when you actually do it. And I think they should have a sound implementation plan for this. In fact, interesting, some of the ministries, they have special initiative in the budget, but when you scrutinize the corporate plan, there's no, such program, such initiative is not stated in the budget, in our corporate plan. And I say, why is this? We have the initiative there, but not reflected in our corporate plan. That's your business plan. And but I think that's very important there. I think now, because of implementation, now it's only the second month. I think it's a matter for each ministry to look into the plan. This is the progress. This is why human capacity is a key here. And the previous year, we provide 1 million for training of the government civil servant. Upgrade them. Technology, because most of them, they finish from university. When you finish from university and you don't learn and upgrade yourself, no, you are redundant. You have to upgrade, continuous upgrade yourself. And that's why we say, this is an area I think the government should step up on. Because you should learn every day new things. Otherwise, out of place. And that's very key. And very risk thing here. If the minister and us are not continuous improve and upgrade your learning, you become a problem because when the staff actually improve and they know the state of the art and not know, you might sometimes say, because sometimes you say we don't want to look bad and because you look foolish. You have to upgrade yourself so that you're open-minded for the changes and that. And I think plan is very important here. But I know this. The other one is fiscal discipline. We need fiscal discipline on the overtime. We have the auditor reports for 23-24 compliance report. Compliance report is the spending of government fund in line with the government policy and also law regulations. Overtime is huge issues here. And the Ministry of Health, we say that's okay, overtime, but there is a problem here. You have to fix this. It's very simple. So that's why I'm saying here, before the implementation, all the ministries should look into the audit report and fix their home before they actually started here. And that's why I'm saying implementation should look into the whole thing. Public finance also thing, you have to look into what the problem you have, and then you have a plan how to fix them. Otherwise, we keep recurring every year. And that's the area we want to look into. Procurement. Procurement is a big problem in the audit. Because some of the policies has been changed, and some of the policies say, if you pay, for procure any goods and services that below 20 million, then the ministries can do it on their own without getting the approval of the Minister of Finance. And then you see the behavior. People respond. They reduce it to 19,000.9999. Not to reach the 23 because to go under. And I think there's a big problem there. And catering overshoot, I think this is an area, implementation again, the exercise of fiscal discipline, have to look into this. Transparency. Electricity subsidy about 18 million during the discussion of the parliament of this amount. Because we want to find out how they arrive at 18 million. And then toward the end they said, I think consulting the Minister of Finance staff said, okay, what you're going to do, because you want to know what you're going to do and when we are going to do it, And they say, okay, there was no specific details on the budget about this, how much and when. Then they say, okay, Fedi Sanity. The Minister of Finance stood up and said, Fedi Sanity, and then also dated back to January. And that will be the subsidy. Unless Monday this week they say, no, that changed. When they got the bill for July, they said the bill is on deductions less than 20 cents. It's about 13 cents or so. And then we ask, why? What is actually, what is the thing about this? What is the actual amount? And they say that, well, it's probably that's the amount that they're going to provide. And also there might be some saving, and if there would be any saving, we're going to use it for other purposes. Credibility here. Implementation, when you say this is a policy, say Fedi said it, you should stick with it. And that's, I mean, all of us in the leaders, you should, what you say is very important because of credibility. And now, so there's a doubt here and uncertainty here what they're going to use this money for. And also the shipping, domestic, we said that shipping about 3.8 and for shipping and 3.2 to domestic, and we said it would be better if you say 30 centi, if we reduce our tax by 30 centi. That's about, that will bring have a saving. That will be funded from shipping and domestic airline. That will be enough to reduce the fuel by 30 centi. So if you say the fuel, the diesel is say $4, if you reduce it by 30 centi, then of course you have 30 centi. But that goes directly and benefits for everyone. Having subsidy for shipping and domestic airline, that's only a few. And also the specifics about how they're going to provide the subsidy for shipping domestic for the people, there's no information about that. Again, implementation should be clear, so the people know what you're going to do, and also don't give changes. What you do. It's very important for us, and also fiscal management discipline, and also responsive. Again, as I said, I referred to those kind of expenditure before. You have to look into the reports that you have, for example, especially from the audit compliance, and look into it, and also make sure that you control. Over time, you should have a plan. Only over time if you have any responsibility that actually require you to do beyond 430. And you have to discipline this. And we do it in the same in the government. In the finance, before I think I asked all of them to give their plan to the Secretary for Finance. So they actually give the approval before they go ahead and do it. But sometimes, you can go and look. Some of, I don't want to discredit it, but some of them, most of them are good. But also some of them, when you go and look behind the scene, Facebook, I think that's, and sometimes they stay behind over, and then when they stay behind, they have the overtime. But I think that is, credibility. You have to have a fiscal management. Because of what? We have to discipline ourselves to make sure that the funding we are used for the benefit of the country, and also we're able to have a financing strategy that actually, get the support and also the confidence of the development partners. Say yes, we have to give you the money and you make use of them. So prudence is very important here. Prudence, you have to exercise this. The other one is again, that's why I'm referring to implementation case, remedial action on issue raised by audit compliance reports, because that's about the public finance management issue. And
apologies, Honourable Aisake.
Yeah.
If you can just wrap up,
Yes.
because there's some dying people here who wants to ask questions.
Yes, almost. The last one is the last one is delay. Some of the projects now being delayed, and I think one of the things is the bridge transparency. I think the bridge, secure bridge, transparency. I think the head government has to be transparent here. Again, now they say that the land has been issued, but now they say there are a few issues to be fixed, and I hope that should be fixed, and so that they're able to do. And so that's for delay and unperforming projects. So they should look at it now. So about 135 million for projects yet to be implemented. So now they all ministry look at it, have a plan, see how they're going to do, and what the problem we have with it before. So they're going to do this. And the last one is way forward.
Thank you.
That's why I'm saying, you have to. I think we have local fiscal resource, fish oceans, and we have the potential and the resources. And I believe that we make this economy more viable. I think that's where the focus should be. We have funded the government endorsed continuations of the government development loan. They give you but I think this is where the area. Our fish why expensive because there is no only one company actually do the fishing in the open sea, and that's why the price now has gone up to 30 something. When we government, we have an agreement with China company there. They provide every 2 weeks, and they reduce the price to 10. Simply because, we need the people to eat the fish. NCT, we say you should eat fish, but the fish is so expensive. And also, again, the development of professional human capacity. I think there's a need for this. Have to upgrade our staff, our thing, because they're very capable, so you're able to in tune with the changes. And also align national priority and TANO'A funded program. I think this is an area, I think that TANO'A and try to align. Sometimes they have conflicting some sort of thing, but government should be in charge of this. But when the government is weak, then probably some priorities come in that may not be. But again, we thank the development partners here, but I think this is an area, I think we all have the common interest of sustainability of the development. And also the political impact. I put political, and measurement. We need to measure, and that's the problem we have now. And the audit, we try to change from compliance to performance audit. Because we want to know at the end of the day, what actually the result, what extra people have. We need to measure them. And the final one, the political impact. I refer to political impact, the changes and the impact on the, and that's the last one. Thank you.
Malo apito katak mo paspasi imay. Honorable Isakeke. Honorable Dr. Isakeke, ko ngai whamatala kona koe tuku mai ko ilo koe kau whai o ngongok whele apito nau ngahi o ngongo ko nau oslava to o mai me iai ke nau toki hoko ata hano whatotolo i ngai whamatala ko ia. Tainta tau pe ko whiwharaha heni ko e huinga ko whakapalanisi ko ngai whakamatala ko ia o e pōni pia me ngahi ongo na e whai pe ai wheinga ki he potunga aue paanga me he puleanga ke kao mai ke poloka mai whiawhini ka nei teke o mai ha tāli me iai. Pia ko whie taitai lele i heni ko tok whatonga i heni a whafofonga ko ia haapai tahawa Simon Nevu ke kui heni whamalo atu whafofonga ho kao mai ke polokalama ko ia o e whiawhini. Ko e tau konga hoko, ko e konga ia tau tolu ko ia e whaleni, ofa pe ku osi iai o mo ngai whehui, ke eke koe ngai whainga maari e ni, e o kui heni ai ai tangata mo ua ko e ni, ke ne o atu ngai tali hanga tonu atu whekau aki, pa mo e tau pacheti. Hange ko ia naulawe ki ai he kamata, maho inga ene ki he taha ko toa pe i tongani. Ko ia te tau hoka atu ki he tau whehui mo e tali, pa ko kola tu heni e pule ofisi ko ni ai kautaha met a nau taufa ke kataki ke lava mai ke moderate ai foi konga maho inga ko eni o te mau fiu he tarifa ana malo apito ana malma.
Thank you, Marianne. May you all please stand? Please stand. If you can put up all your hands up, put your hands up. Turn to your left. Say hi to your left, and then turn to your right. Stretch there. Okay, thank you. Malo, take a seat. Now it's time for questions, and I believe the guest speaker is happy to answer any question. And the first opportunity, I'll pass it on to the students. Since we have a few schools here, rang angi pe whanga maale ki he whanau ako, ka parea ki hawhehu e tolu, pe nima, ka tahki te ke lawaha ke pe o whahauko mai ho hingoa. O te whutokangi a pia kou maulawe atu pe he ngosisi e tau taini e. Pea whenga i pe ho e whehu i ke whakanau nou hi fo pe ka tahki o kutau. Whainga whehu i pe pays on what the guest speaker talk about today. Malo.
Good afternoon, sir. It's an honor to be here. My name is John Suruf, and I am from Tonga High School. I study accounting and economics, so this is a very eye-opening presentation, which I'm very happy to be a part of. My question is from a very personal standpoint, and it's about given that Tonga has many small and medium-sized businesses that give many job opportunities to Tongan people. My question is, what new initiatives in this budget will help local businesses to grow, invest, and employ more people?
Thank you very much for that question. And I think that all of us agree that private sector is a key. We call it engine, but they need fuel, to get the engines correct. I think that SME, in fact, we have to find out what actually, happened with our SME now. I think we already provide funding, and I thank the current government to continue providing the government development loan with the Tonga Development Bank. It's about 30 million provided for this. And also there will be additional provided currently by Asian Development Bank and also other agencies. In fact, but that's the provision in terms of funding. But they also complain to us that the condition, for example, collateral and also conditions for accessing, I think they said it probably, it's not conducive for them. And that was brought up, and the government say we're going to look into this, how to make this simplified so they're able to accessible. At the same time, make sure that they will pay back to them. But also the other thing is training. And then I think that's why we need to address this in a holistic way. And that's what we did in our previous government, try to build it. That's why we proposed to have a public sector also combined with private sector. So we can have review each SME who has been successful, SME are not just on edge, and some who actually fail. And also those who are willing to start. Want to look into them and help them. Why actually, what they couldn't do. Those who are doing better, why? What the succeeding factor there. So that's two things. One is training, helping them, and also resourcing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Malo, next question. Feel free to ask the question either in Tongan or English. Tawa tayo na peke iko whiwi lea whatonga, peko lea whapitania. Kataki ka pau kia hawhihui pa ke hiki ke peho ni maka honga whakahoko iat mo tolo, Malo.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Josefo Mailangi and I'm from Tonga High School. Asking this question on behalf of Tonga High School. Teachers play a vital role in developing Tonga's future workforce. What specific provisions does this budget include to improve teachers' salaries, professional development, and working conditions, as you can share with us?
Right. No, it's very key. I mean, the staff, teachers are key. I mean, and that's why we encourage, good, competent teachers stay there. Don't come, to other ministries. And one of the things that actually caused them to move out is the salaries. And I think that current already have a 50% student allowance already built into them for the salaries to stay there. At the same time, I think we asked for a review. Because the review they did that was done previously was basically say the waiting. The waiting that for example the position for example Tonga High School and Tonga College, in fact, they're more or less in terms of size and the students and that more or less the same. But when they the highest position they give in terms of salary is about lower than deputy level, not CEO, deputy and lower than that. And they said that the same benchmark or scale they use. And that's why most of the teachers, actually, for example, they came to Ministry of Finance because they have opportunity to move up. And that's the incentive we provide for them. And also, I think in terms of PMS, the PMS performance management system, if they're teaching very well and they're performing well, we should award it about 5%. But also there is some problem there, how the methodology works. But I think this is what we do now. There's a look into this, and I think we want to thank all the teachers. Please stay there, because the future is very much dependent on you. And we try our best to make you, feel at home and stay there. But I think that is the area in terms of remunerations, and that's what we are doing now. But that's very important. Thank you. The government is good. The non-government secondary school, I mean, churches. Free worship church in particular, what they have. they thought that what they have could be, the rest when they finish from this world. But the government continuing to provide 770 pa'anga per head for non-government secondary schools. So 770. So continue that for teachers' salaries. And also they have about 1,234 vocational training. But that cannot, but you're right. I mean, retention of the good teachers is very important.
Thank you. Kata ki te aha taha me whanau ako. Ia mai kata whai koe ni. Ka heili pe whanau ako e ange whanga male mai kau special needs, people with special needs ko ni he ni e.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is John Kumar, and I'm a student from Ocean of Light. As to my question, it says if global oil prices stay high and the government has to look for ways to save money, how do you balance the tough choice between keeping our public services running smoothly and protecting the everyday budget of our Tongan families?
That's right. I mean, that's why the considerations of providing subsidy. Subsidy is a temporary relief, for homes, so everyone in this situation. We hope this issue would be resolved quickly. I mean, there has been some prospect, but the longer it's protracted, I think the possibility for a quick fix it probably is a little bit complicated. But again, I think also when we have this kind of situations, everyone, I think you should, responsible for, managing our resources. And when you see the price increase, we expect the people only, they don't come so often to NUKU'ALOFA, say only once or twice. But haven't seen the change in them of behavior. People still enjoy. But I think government can do something, also us responsible. Individually should also responsible for this. But again, we think Australia and them, I think they are helping in terms of providing sufficient stock of fuel, and also we try our best ourselves in terms of trying to provide some relief. And also I think that the advantage or benefit out of this is to look for other alternative rather than relying on the fuel. And there are some succession, we have renewable energies already, and they are aiming to have 70% reached this year. ATB is a big project, 20 megawatt, the kind of thing. And also Australia and New Zealand, they're providing funding. But I think that's what we could do now. Government help, and also ourselves try to make use our money prudently and responsibly. It's a tough time.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you for this opportunity. My question is, many young Tongans are looking for better employment opportunities while others continue to leave the country. How does this budget create opportunities that encourage young people to build their future here in Tonga?
Now, we have, yes, I think the youth is the future of Tonga. And that's why education, we have to make sure we provide quality education for our students. Also have scholarship. And also there are youth. I think that's why we have funding. We encourage the students, don't come back and go and look for employment. No, come and do your own business. And we try to give you money to do this. So at the moment, most of the of our youth they actually participate in the regional seasonal employment scheme, PALM, and also that's where they go now. And I think but they are coming back. But I think the thing is we can do them is to encourage them, in terms of providing funding for them, and also employment. I think they are employing people, companies here, construction companies looking for people to employ themselves. But I think for you, youth people there, young people, when you finish, come and we try to have some money for the bank, start a business. And also services, for example, accounting and auditing services, we're still using, Fiji, a big company there. Government is actually looking for a local accounting firm actually to do the auditing for them. But hardly any. So those are areas there. Those of you studying economics and accounting, this is an area you can come and invest in, government help, as a source of employment for them.
Malapito, anyone else from the students toloa? Atele, mo lawenga malie? Kapau ke whakaukau ipe mo whiui ka tau hoko atu, ke ni ihi koe ni uke ana o ngai whia mao make he. Special needs, disabilities. O ke ha taha ia moto ia whia ha whiui ke eke lewa he whainga malie koe ni.
Sai o fifia bute fa mare con la que ma o ngo se na tare ma o le pe colon o ye me o hau ga fe fa fa ko me ni fo mo re pe ka pa wi kai fina pa si po mo tu kungo ni ai te lo pe o ate fa ka ka ko fu la la ve hu covid pe na mo le bita na u ye mo mai me ke na fa ga ku ma mo ya family pe to ki lalo ku ki fanau to ko hiva pe motuhia me ya ko fanau ma to ngai me ko ni ko mai ka ngai fakau ka ko ni gue pe mo ngai tare ni ko la fa ko tai min e la o fila ve pe manga hunga e patset ko no mutana ke ani ko la va tui tui ko la va uhila ko la ai langa fare ko lava ai casa pe ko lava ta tong pe ko te artist pe ko ngai ye ko lava ni ko manga mo ye ko finga tai min ka ku ka ya ko mata nga pau ba nga sen ki lava ki nga ya ka ku lava he me ko ni fasino ma ke te au pe lava fata fe me ai ha me ke mo fa ngari mo tuan ke lava ngawe ke lava ke mafusi au fatongo family ka mafo ke ku ka ngafo longa he ka disability ko ko paseni au e fulufu ai e toka kina ko ia mai ka o fengata ia e va ata fa ki me afaka sociale pe commerciale ki ono fatu pa nga himia ke fatu pa hamia ke ma aseniti e o hi matu ha taleni to ku mau pe ma tu nga ko le ko ni ka ya fanga mari pe la va fakata fe mai ai ke la via e moto ko ni o ma si ka fanga ta ya no ka to o ku kai ko ku ta mo ma to ta pe o ta mo fa lu fu ma ka disability pe ka fanga ta ya ai fo no ko ni ko ta mo ai malo
mahina ke ha whiui ko fa ko mai pe ko le malo
sione malo e mo ui ne ngoi hoko e mea ko tu tau ngoi ko to pe ko tu e fie puranga ia o ko fu na provision ai ke social protection ka ko tu ta te na lava to e whakalahi pe ko hui ko ta e niti e na ia ko tu alu ko a pa de alu ke para mea mi stava anga me ko tu te na fie ko ta re ni ko pa anga ne mo ko tu lava pe ai po kala ma ko to ni ko na dol fainga ta ia ko tu ko abe ke ko tu te na to ko ni ko sai pe kono me ai pe mo ke mai pe mo ki
sai pe go fa fola live ni ai sa ke go fa no mai pe mo de fa fa le le ana po ka ma fai ko ya ke fe malo fe ko kataki
malo pito pe malo e mo fenga male ko ngwa ko ana tala kai limoni ko fa pa me health disabilities ko ku tu ha ke pe aku ia ko hinga e fa kau e sea anga fefe tausio nga unu ai langa fa ekonomika ko ia ta fonua o kapau o ke ia ha patseti ki lava whakaivia aki ki na tolu ko ia ka whainga taia ko hike na lava access ki he educations pa ke lava i ke na lava pe ki na tolu ma o ngawe ko hi pe ke na lava o tokoni i fa foi tuitu ia ki na tolu lava i pe fine motuani ko e konga patseti ko ia pule anga whakaivia ki ma tolu makatunga pe he case assistance ka pau e whakawhalala ma mo uia ki mautori disabilities ke case assistance ko whakawhai ka ko ki mautori he kahau ka ko hiko tau talanoa ki he kahau e tuuloa koe ai langa wha ekonomika tau ki pure anga koe ki he kahau ko ia ko anga e whakakaukau
Pe o ki ai e lava nei ke iaha patseti ke si whakaivia aga ki mautolu koe ni ai whanau whaingata ia ke nau lava access ke education pe ke lava i ke nau lava pe ki nau toro mau ngā ue whakaivia ki nau tolu ki ha ngahi ngā ue ko hinga ke nau lava pe o contribute ke nau ngahi mo iwha whai tuitui pe a pe he whoki ki he tokoni ki he langa whakaekonomika ko ia ho tau ki pure anga malo.
So, and I think we now take note of that, and I think the Australian, I think New Zealand will be here, and I think there should be a special program, scholarship for those of you who are actual, and also financial assistance. And I think, I think this is a sort of dialogue, provide the feedback, and I think they will be very happy. Now sure ke whahatokoni heni. Hek mahino be I challenge like mo ui. Ai whawhetai be o mo loto lahi be o loto si. Pako tu e whepopo wakwe me tokon koe ni ke ngahi mea koe na. Malo.
Te atahu ane whehui. I piki tau wahe be, because I believe ke o whehui koe me disability o me na tula ta tau pe. Ke heksisi pe tau taimi ka te whoki me pe ka motoro ka pate whainga mali. There's someone from the back. And Your Excellency and special guest from the Australian High Commission, feel free to ask a question if you have any question to ask.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Miliana Tamufolau. I'm a student at TNU taking the School of Media and Journalism. My question for tonight is, how are Tonga's overseas diplomatic missions, including the recently established embassy in Fiji, funded and managed within the national budget? Thank you.
Malo. Yes, the overseas mission is basically provided for from the government funding, operational funding. And the new one, there's a new one set up in Fiji, and I think one of the main reasons why is basically provide support USP students, and I think that's a couple of million of hundreds there. But yes, that's where the funding comes from.
Thank you.
And thank also the budget support from Australia and New Zealand who are here. We thank you. And I think for trusting us, and I think that is something we seriously make sure your expectations is actually taken serious.
Malo, oku kei whainga mali pe kei taimi pe ka pau ku te aha whehui. Malo e lala ke e kei pe whehui a. Oh, there's a student from the back. Patakwila mai ai pe. Malo a tele.
Thank you for this opportunity. Yeah, sorry. A question I had was because I was wondering about on the topic of expenses. One thing I did catch was that one of the greatest expenses our government has to pay for is the oil and gas, which the prices seem to be rising. A thought of mine that I had is just a thought to reduce this expense. Because I believe that most of the driving back and forth, using the oil and such, is to bring students to school. So what if we were to, I don't know, reduce maybe that travel and use of oil by replacing maybe 20 cars with about 2 buses? In such a way, it reduces oil, reduces tax and expenses, and also time usage and consumption. But that's just a thought of mine. Is there any way that us as a community, especially us students, can help?
Right. I mean, that is a good question, and I think that's an option. Actually, we implemented when we were in the government. And that was for the eastern side. Eastern side said that they have a problem coming to schools, and we ran twice during the week. But I think that's a good idea, and I know there are some villages, they have the school bus. But I think it's just for all of you, we can all work together now. It's a time of using public transportations, I think help, instead of many cars on the roads. And I think that's, again, behavior adjustment here. And I think that's a good idea. And I think that's what we should think about, how we could actually save and reduce expenditure, budget for a family and also, but that's a good idea. And that's what I think you can discuss at schools and also with others, with the villages. But the government, I think, was interested to look into these options here. The time we find out, when the time is tough. It's creativity, good thinking. And I think what we see today, I think that's actually what should happen.
Malo, we have 2 more questions. This one at the very back. If you na taha me mui ka taki.
Sai malo apito. Ko kingoa ko la da ma sima pa ko ngata maki he ako e media and journalist in TANO'A. Ko feu I ko ha pot ngawe la lahi e tolu o ko lahi ta ina inasi I he budgeting.
Ko lahi ta ko pot ngawe ako. Ko fo education pe mo e pe mo health. Ko ngoa ko ya. Pe ka be mo pot ngawe pa nga ko pot pa nga fu ko no. Ka ko ta hai nga hi potungai la lahi ko no ku me ko ngo ko mo fare paanga ayok mahino bid Tonga I ako social health pe mo education to ga be ku hoko to ga infrastructure nga potungai ko ne moi the different time na ko blanga hala ka ba so the cost ko al ka that's the main in terms of operational funding al ge ngo ko ya adu fala hai pe mo fare pa.
One more question. Eu ia taha whamim kon ko toloa kataki lala.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Saifi Fita and I go to Duval College. If the decisions made in a national budget today shape the opportunities available to our generation tomorrow, how should we, as young business studies students, learn to think about the budget, not simply as government spending, but as a lesson in leadership, risk, opportunity cost, and investing in the future? And what would you advise us to start doing differently now because of what you see in Tonga's economy? Thank you.
Oh, it's a very wide-ranging question, but I think that's very important coming from students. Yes, I think that's why the budget is making opportunities, creating opportunities. And that's why we have scholarship of students and also the money there for those who are actually willing. And I think that policies and also funding, I think that's a kind of thing. And I think that, we have health and all the line ministries here. I think that they need special expertise. And I think it's very much see how we want to be done, what you sort of job we want to be done in the future. So it's just this. So we work together with government in terms of what would be needed. But at about probably 5 years from now, because of the AI and that kind of thing, there'll be a lot of changes in terms of the current services. But I think government provide policy and funding for school scholarship, also scholarship for students here, and that's why we employment created here. It's very limited, but there's an area. But I think encourage you. I think I think we can work together in terms of businesses and funding to make a dream realized in the future.
Yeah, malapito.
Malapito, kapag kita taha fehui. Oh, kon lala ko fia eke pe fehui ai. Yes. Fine ko ni. Mago fehui fa asi ai pe ni. Malo.
He ko hinga he ko taimi pe ok tuai akau whangata ia ke lea whika ak moi paanga o hange nai o ku whakatuta ia ki hanga ka kai to lahi ko unga ko pehepe ko tu uen ka whangata ia ko paanga pe ko o mai ki na tol ka o kai mea ia o ko wakai o kai I au savea he ko mahu ki tu ak ke mau whakatoka ngai a ki na tolu o kai pe ke whakatoka ngai e puranga ka kuia e ki mea si pen te o lawe ki ai mahalo I toki ai taim whanga maari e lahi anga te tuk tānoa ke mea koe ni ko ka whangata ia whoku o ku nau mau whamiri pe o ku iai e nau whanau whanga mokupuna pea I he tuunga ko o mau takai ko I ngai whamiri whangata ia o toi whangata ia nge ai mo ui whaka finance o kai ke lawa ko I nau whanau I kai ke lawa o whakangawe Pea koe ku whakakaukau pe ke whakaau atu a leo e ka whangata ia koe ni. E lama nai ke tau siofi e ka whangata ia moho nau tuunga whare. Ke wakai I ke whakako ia e whanau koe ni. O koe whanau tōlahi I he u household ke koe ni o ku nau ata mai ia. Pea e malawa ke nau wau ke tuunga. Ka pau e ala mai pere anga o toko ni I whakako whakangau e ki nau tolu. E te nau hanga o hake ai whamiri whangata ia. O kau whangata ia ke nau o ku tangi o kuloto I ku wakai ia utonu ki ngahi whamiri koe ni. O ku nau toi masi wange. Pakau tape o ki kai nau lava o ngā wei. Haki I paanga ke ako e nau whanau pue koe whangamopuna. Ke toi whakalele iange ai ka hau o whamiri koe ni. Koe ia pe ai whetu una malo.
Malo, ko whamore more ka pau pehe anga I mau whawhianga kia mau tolu. Ko whamore more lai atu. Ka koe anga halalahi ka pau mau pehe. Koe o tua ai o tatau e taha katoa pehe o mahu inga o tatau. Ka mau kau whamore. Paka inga tai molo to lahi pehe. Ako tui koe whatu lele I e naia. Ako tui e whia pure anga koe ni ke nau tokoni. Koe whetu koe ko nau ai ko luisa manu whetoa he mia. Awe kia e mea koe ni ko tui te nau lava whaha tokoni. Ko tui e tokoni ia. E ko hui mahino pe koe u scholarship. Ako tui te nau lava tokoni pe ko toko whiha ni ihi koe ni. E ko mea mahu ingaha mo o ngoi pe o koe ke mo o ngoi koe ke amanaki. Pako tui koe mea ko pako kai fuke mau I loto. Koe ngahi mea ni ke mau fu loko ilo whewhe kau sae koe tau tala noa. Pako
Ke tau wau mai ani ki he whaosinga ko ia o e polokalama ki he whiawhio e ahoni. Kau tau whawhetai ko tau peke o tua mawhi. Kone uhi, kone tokoni mai ka te tau tolu I he ahoni. O te whamalo lahi au pito, tangata eiki pale mia malolo, Egg Minister paanga malolo, CEO malolo he ngahi tau lahi. Ko hiko o au whato, o ke tari e kore koe nei whotu o ato me he kautaha whaiangongo ia Tonga ke mea mai o whaiha TANO'A, whilawe hanga tono pia moe fupatseti. Ke te mau tolu whuka ku mau wha manako peke mau TANO'A e aitake. Whilawe I pia moe patseti. O hangeto pia koe ha fukonga pulu. Angoi mau wakai ki ai. Koe fukonga pulu, ka alewa pe ko whai ahono whakamatalai. Ke mahino malia mai kia te mau tolu. Pe ko hono toe ki I kuki, ke hake o ki I moluange. Ke lava he e whanau, pe lava he kautou leke leka, pe lava he taha ko toa pe, ke ne mao mei ai, haane mea tokoni. Ko e whanau ako o e whanuau ke mea hake peki ai. Pea mo e tautalai whare mo e whamatala ko ke hanga o whakahoko. Lahi au pita ngahi whainga malie, te nau whanonga I he kahau. Pea ko mau whaampe e tokolahi ani ihe te nau hoko kau whaiangongo. Ke nau hanga whamatala I ke toi whakaikikiange. Hange ko mea kouko ke lava mai mo ia. Ka koe ku mana tū pe toi ai ha taha. I he tō ngau e whapureanga ko I he taimini. Tene au sia ai tō unga pa mga he tau lahi. Nā ke whai whatongia I he pureanga. Pea ko ke meai, I loto, I tua, I he ngahi ta whaaki hono koto ape. Ko e ngahi mea koe ni kōku mau whehu I ato pea o pe ki he ngahi whotu whakaukau pea mo kore. O pehe pe anga koe mau whanonga. Mau whanonga pe ho mo TANO'A I he tipeiti, I he patseti, I he whalearea. Ka koe ke whumahu inga maari e ka te mau tolu, kai o walewa, hange koe ko kau whewhine mo kau tangata, ko nau TANO'A. E tok mahu inga maari e, I he taimi ko o apply mai ai, ki he kakai koe o e whanua. Pea ko mau whakatawanga pe whaki iwe o tuaka te koe, pea mo hoko hoko atu, mo ngai whatongia koe ni, pea kai ki ngata ai, hange ko ngahi pureanga koe ni o tau mau tokoni me iai, I he ngahi taimi pea mo e mo menite ono kotoa pe, pea mo nau tokoni koe ia o whai mai kia te tau tolu. O atu whake whamalo ke kau whai ako, ka o maafak mo e whanau ako,
mok mo tolu a kau whafofonga me ngahi wheitu o kotoa pe o mo mea mai ke tau kau whataha e polokalama koe o ahoni. Pe ai whamalolo tohonga ko hiko e whafofonga koia ke whalearea o hapai tahawa mahino i he whiawhio ahoni e poupou o ko whai mai ki a te mautolu. Tau te whito ke kakai e whanua kuna o mea mai i he leti o kau maafo ki e ngahi maunga tala i he mitia whaososia le o tau inasi kotoa pe ai. Whatawang mai o tuake ne whaki iwi ka te mautolu i e whanonga o mo whai ka me ngahi whatongia hono kotoa pe o mo hanga kuia o whakakato. And on behalf of the Press Club, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you for attending the Press Club session tonight. Your presence and contributions made this gathering more meaningful and impactful. The Press Club is a joint initiative between PACMAS and MET, and your support strengthens our shared commitment to fostering dialogue, collaboration, and professional growth access communities. Thank you all, and again, for your valuable participation tonight. O gai whamalolo tohonga makehe ko hiko e hotele TANO'A. Ko hiko e polokalama ko e ni o kuna o fuaki mai pe ta e totongi ke mau lava mai o whakahoko hen. Ko hiko nau maho inga ia i he whatongia koe hono tu whaki ngai whamatala ke e kakai koe o e whanua. Kai malo au pito, tu au whātu.
Mau paspasi mai. Hoto aina tau koe paspasi ki he tau sea koe whiawhini ka pehe a e tau kau ngā mea koe mei muli o kuna i heni taini mi. Mau paspasi mai ki ai. Wange pe koia koe mea koia ke le whamalo koe ni ai Palestini e kau tawhai o ngongo a Tonga. Katalina toe ko atai pe whamalo ki he kautaha PACMAS, ki he whapaanga ko ia ai polokalama ko e ni kai pehe whuki ke hotele TANO'A o ne o mai ko ia whitu uni ke tau i ai. Ko e Press Club hono hoko, e toki o atu pe he PS ko ni I met i social media, tainta tau pe o ata ke ataha pe o whia kau mai. O keke whaangata ngata ko ata ka e toki o atu whai ki, pea mo e kawe inga, pea mo e kau lea ko ia i he maina ka tuu ke mo kau mai ki ai. Whaka osi o ko kole heni ki he kia Ewa hala pea me he matangtonga ke ne wha osi ake polokala mani aki ha tau lotu toko. Malo Ewa.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we have arrived at the conclusion of our program this evening. We thank you for the lovely discussions. We thank you for our speaker tonight, Dr. Isaac Eke, for sharing his perspectives, his knowledge, and enlightening us tonight. Lord, we thank you for our diplomatic calls, our students, our journalists, our media organizations, our guests, and each and every one of us that are here and present tonight. Lord, as we depart from here today, may you instill in our minds and mold into our hearts the love to serve our kingdom and our home, Tonga. We ask all these things in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Malo au pito. Ka taki ko e konga whaka osi, ko osi e tau formalities, ke mo mea pehena ka e mea atu ai se ai.
Pea koe lawa katoi ai whamwhalanga tonu o whiwhini, whataanga pēna takleri atu ki he tonga kotoa. O mo mea mai i he ope, i he tau reti o FM 12.5 ka mawhoki i he tau pesi Facebook, Broadcom FM Broadcasting, ka mawhoki i he YouTube, Broadcom Broadcasting. Whataanga pēna takleri atu. Pea koe lawa katoi e Press Club ki he whiwhini, o ko whiwhonga e te peka whawhatangia ko ia o he whiwhini. Me he TANO'A International Hotel, whataru tui fua ka mawhoki a Webster Junior Lea, kwa o me sake whahamoki oa, ka mo mea, tua whatu.